The desperate situation. On the distant planet of Zephora, the sun shone brightly over lush green forests and sparkling blue rivers. The Xelrians, a peaceful alien species, thrived in this beautiful world. They lived in harmony with nature, understanding the balance of life and respecting their environment. Their homes were made from living trees, and they communicated through soft sounds and colors that changed with their emotions. The Xelrians were gentle and kind, known for their love of art and music. But one fateful day, everything changed. A massive storm brewed on the horizon, dark clouds swirling with unnatural fury. It was not a normal storm. It was the result of a sudden environmental collapse caused by a mining accident on a neighboring planet. The Xelrians were unaware of the danger until it was too late. As the winds howled and rain poured down like arrows, panic spread among their people. The once peaceful Zephora transformed into a chaotic scene. The storm uprooted trees, flooded homes, and destroyed crops. Xelrians rushed to help each other, but the power of nature was overwhelming. As they tried to save their families and friends, many felt a deep sense of dread. Their beautiful planet was slipping away, and they feared for their lives. Meanwhile, other alien races watched from afar. When the Xelrians needed help the most, those who had once called them allies turned their backs. They feared that helping the Xelrians might bring disaster to their own worlds. They whispered among themselves, "Why should we risk our lives for them?" As fear gripped their hearts, they chose to abandon Zephora. Their spaceships left in a hurry, leaving the Xelrians alone to face the storm. Back on the planet, the Xelrians felt the weight of despair. Their homes were in ruins, and their friends were missing. They gathered in the ruins of a central hall, their vibrant colors dimmed by sadness. "What will we do?" One Xelrian asked, his voice trembling. "We are all alone now." The others nodded, tears glistening in their eyes. Just when it seemed like hope was lost, a group of humans aboard a nearby space station received news of Zephora's disaster. The humans, curious and brave, watched the events unfold through their monitors. They saw the storm and the suffering of the Xelrians. A sense of empathy filled their hearts. "We cannot just sit here and do nothing," one human said, his face serious. "They need help. We must go." The humans knew the risks. Zephora was unpredictable, and they might face danger upon arrival. But their compassion outweighed their fears. A team was formed, consisting of scientists, medics, and volunteers, all eager to help. They prepared their ship, gathering supplies, food, medicine, and tools for rebuilding. Each human had a reason to join this mission. Some had heard stories of the Xelrians and admired their culture. Others simply felt it was the right thing to do. As they launched their ship into the stars, the humans felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. What if they don't want our help? One medic worried. What if they are hostile? But the team leader shook his head. "We must try. They are suffering, and if we can make a difference, we should." The ship soared through the galaxy, guided by hope and determination. After what felt like an eternity, they arrived at Zephora. The once vibrant planet was now dark and chaotic. The storm still raged, and the ground was littered with debris. As the humans landed their ship, they saw Xelrians running for cover, their colors muted with fear. The humans stepped out, determined to reach out to the aliens in need. The first encounter was tense. The Xelrians were wary, unsure of the humans' intentions. But as the humans approached slowly, hands raised in peace, something unexpected happened. A young Xelrian named Kira stepped forward. Her colors flickered brightly, signaling curiosity. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling but hopeful. "We are humans," one of the team members replied. "We saw what happened. We want to help." The humans explained their mission, using simple words and gestures. Kira listened carefully, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hope. Slowly, she began to trust them. "Please," she said softly, "we need help. Many are hurt, and we don't know what to do." With Kira as their guide, the humans began their work. They set up a temporary camp, offering food and first aid. As the Tselarians watched, their fear slowly turned to curiosity. The storm still howled around them, but for the first time, they felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they were not alone after all. In the chaos of the storm, a new alliance was beginning to form. The Tselarians and humans would face many challenges ahead, but together, they could overcome anything. Hope sparked like a flame in the darkness, igniting a future of possibilities. The humans were here, and they were ready to help the Tselarians rebuild their world. Building trust. The storm continued to rage outside, but within the makeshift camp, a sense of calm began to grow. Kira, the brave young Tselarian, watched in awe as the humans worked. They moved quickly and efficiently, their faces determined. The humans treated the injured Tselarians with care, their hands gentle and their voices soothing. For the first time since the disaster, Kira felt a flicker of hope in her heart. As the humans set up medical stations and shared food supplies, Kira noticed how the Tselarians began to gather around, curious yet cautious. They whispered among themselves, their colorful skin shifting with uncertainty. Could these strangers truly be here to help them? Kira decided she needed to bridge the gap between her people and the humans. "Come with me," she urged one of the human medics, a woman named Sarah, who was tending to a wounded Tselarian. Kira led Sarah away from the crowd, into a quieter area where they could talk without distractions. "Thank you for helping us," Kira said, her voice soft but earnest. "We are not used to outsiders. Many of my people are afraid." Sarah nodded, understanding the weight of Kira's words. "I can see that," she replied gently. "It's okay to be afraid. We are here to help, and we want to earn your trust." Kira felt a warmth in Sarah's voice that eased her worries. "What can we do to show my people you mean no harm?" she asked. Sarah thought for a moment, then suggested, "Let's gather everyone together and explain our purpose. If they see that we are here for them, it might ease their fears." With renewed determination, Kira agreed. Together, they returned to the group of Tselarians, who were watching the humans with a mix of curiosity and wariness. Kira stepped forward, her colors brightening as she spoke. "Everyone, please listen. These humans have come to help us. They want to save our friends and fix our homes." The Tselarians murmured, uncertainty still clouding their faces. But as Sarah stood beside Kira, she raised her hands in a peaceful gesture. "We are not your enemies," she said, her tone reassuring. "We want to help you heal and rebuild. Together, we can face the challenges ahead." Kira translated Sarah's words, her voice full of conviction. Slowly, the Tselarians began to approach the humans, their colors shifting from doubt to cautious optimism. One elder, his skin shimmering with wisdom, stepped forward. "We are grateful for your help," he said, "but we must be careful. Trust takes time." The humans nodded in agreement. They understood the importance of building trust, especially in such desperate circumstances. "We will prove ourselves to you," Sarah said, her eyes filled with sincerity. "We'll work together and show you our commitment to helping." As the sun began to rise, the storm gradually subsided, revealing the devastation left in its wake. The humans and Tselarians worked side by side, clearing debris and tending to the injured. Each day, their bond grew stronger. The Tselarians learned to appreciate the humans' resilience, while the humans admired the Tselarians' connection to nature and their unique way of life. In the evenings, after a long day of work, Kira and Sarah would gather with the other humans and Tselarians. They shared stories of their worlds, their cultures, and their dreams. Laughter began to fill the air, breaking down the walls of fear and mistrust. Kira felt her heart swell with joy. This connection was something she had never imagined possible. One day, as they worked together, Sarah suggested a new idea. "Why don't we have a celebration?" she said. "A way to honor our teamwork and the progress we've made. It could help strengthen our friendship." Kira's eyes sparkled at the thought. "Yes, we can have music and dance. It will be a chance to show our gratitude. As preparations began, excitement filled the camp. The Xelrians and humans worked together to gather food, create decorations, and plan performances. They learned from one another, blending their cultures into a beautiful celebration of unity. On the night of the celebration, the camp transformed into a vibrant scene of color and light. The Xelrians decorated their trees with glowing orbs, and the humans brought their instruments to create lively music. Kira stood on a makeshift stage, her voice ringing out as she welcomed everyone. "Tonight, we celebrate friendship," she exclaimed, her colors glowing bright. "We are stronger together, and we can face any challenge." The crowd erupted in cheers, their fears fading away as they embraced the spirit of togetherness. As the music played, Xelrians and humans danced side by side, laughter echoing through the night. For the first time since the disaster, the Xelrians felt joy returning to their hearts. The humans had become more than just helpers. They were friends who had shown them the true meaning of kindness and solidarity. Under the stars, the two species celebrated their newfound bond, each step and each note weaving a tapestry of hope for the future. Little did they know that their journey had only just begun, and together they would face challenges that would test their friendship and courage in ways they had never imagined. The rising threat. As the celebration continued under the stars, a feeling of hope blossomed in the hearts of both the Xelrians and humans. However, unbeknownst to them, shadows loomed beyond the horizon. A group of alien raiders, known for their brutality and greed, had noticed the recovery efforts on the planet. They had seen the gathering of humans and Xelrians and viewed it as an opportunity. While the festivities continued, a small ship landed silently at the edge of the forest. The raiders disembarked, their faces masked with determination and hunger for conquest. They had one goal: to seize the resources of this vulnerable planet and eliminate anyone who stood in their way. Back at the camp, Kira was in the midst of a dance with Sarah when she suddenly felt a chill in the air. It wasn't the cool night breeze. It was something deeper, a sense of foreboding. She stopped dancing and looked around, her instincts kicking in. Something was not right. "Sarah," Kira whispered urgently, pulling her friend aside. "I feel like we are being watched. We should warn everyone." Sarah's eyes widened. "You think there are dangers nearby?" Kira nodded, her colors shifting to a darker hue. "I can sense it. Let's gather the others." They quickly moved through the crowd, calling for the elders and the humans. As they convened, Kira explained her feelings, her voice steady but urgent. "We must be cautious. I fear that we may be in danger. We should strengthen our defenses tonight." The elders, initially skeptical, saw the determination in Kira's eyes and the concern on Sarah's face. "If Kira feels this way, we should heed her warning." One elder said, "Let us prepare, just in case." The atmosphere shifted from celebration to vigilance as everyone sprang into action. The humans shared their knowledge of defense, suggesting they create watch posts around the perimeter of the camp. The Xelrians, agile and adept at moving through the forest, volunteered to scout the area for any signs of trouble. As night fell deeper, groups began to disperse into the woods, scanning for potential threats. Kira and Sarah teamed up with a few other humans, their hearts pounding with anticipation. "Stay close," Kira instructed. "We need to be alert and watchful." Hours passed as they scoured the underbrush, the only sounds being the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of night creatures. Just as they were about to return to camp, Kira spotted something unusual, a flash of light reflecting off metal. She held her breath and pointed it out to the others. "Look over there," she whispered fiercely. The group turned their heads, their hearts racing as they cautiously approached the source of the light. As they neared, they saw the outlines of figures, large and menacing. The raiders had come. The humans and Xelrians quickly huddled behind a tree, observing the intruders. "What do we do?" one human asked, panic creeping into his voice. Kira felt a surge of determination. "We need to warn the camp." We can't let them surprise us. With quick planning, Kira and Sarah decided to split up. Sarah would head back to alert the others, while Kira and the other scouts would stay behind to gather more information about the raiders. "Be careful," Sarah said, gripping Kira's hand tightly. "We'll meet back at the camp." Kira nodded, feeling the weight of her mission. As she crept closer, she listened intently to the raiders' conversations. They spoke in harsh, guttural tones, plotting their attack. "Tonight, we take what is ours," one raider growled. "These weaklings won't know what hit them." Kira's heart raced. They had to act fast. She signaled to her group, and they quietly retreated to regroup with Sarah and the others. When they reached the camp, Kira found the humans and Saurians gathered in a circle, discussing the situation. "Did you see them?" Sarah asked, her face pale. Kira nodded, her expression serious. "They plan to attack tonight. We must prepare ourselves and set up defenses immediately." As the group worked together, they quickly armed themselves with makeshift weapons, combining Saurian agility with human tactics. They created barriers using fallen branches and rocks, forming a protective circle around the camp. Kira felt a sense of unity as everyone worked together, their fears replaced by determination. Hours passed, and the camp remained tense but vigilant. They waited in silence, each person knowing that danger could strike at any moment. Kira could feel the pulse of the night, her senses heightened. She took a deep breath, focusing on her surroundings. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the woods. The raiders had arrived. They charged into the camp, their eyes gleaming with malice. "Surrender now, and we may spare your lives," one raider shouted, brandishing a weapon. But Kira and the others stood firm, ready to fight for their survival. As the raiders advanced, Kira's heart raced. She took her place at the front line, alongside Sarah and the Saurians. "We will not back down," she shouted, her voice ringing with courage. "Together, we fight." In that moment, the bond between humans and Saurians solidified. They were no longer just allies. They were a united force ready to protect their home. And as the first clash erupted, they stood together, ready to face whatever the night would bring. The battle for survival. The raiders charged into the camp, their weapons raised high and their shouts echoing in the night. Kira's heart raced as she stood side by side with Sarah and the Saurians, their backs pressed against the makeshift barriers they had built. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and the air felt charged with uncertainty. "Stay strong," Kira shouted, rallying her companions. "We can do this together." She glanced at Sarah, whose eyes were wide but determined. The human's face showed a mix of fear and bravery, and Kira felt a surge of strength in her heart. As the raiders approached, their figures looming like dark shadows, Kira took a deep breath and focused. "Remember our training," she called out, her voice steady. "Aim for the weak spots." The first raider leaped over the barrier, a fierce snarl on his face. Kira swung a branch she had picked up, hitting him squarely in the side. He staggered back, surprised by her strength. Sarah followed up, using a sharp rock to strike at another raider, her hands trembling but resolute. The raiders were caught off guard by the fierce resistance of the humans and Saurians. "These weaklings are tougher than we thought," one of them shouted, stumbling as he tried to regain his footing. Kira's heart swelled with pride. They were not going down without a fight. Around the camp, chaos erupted. Saurians darted through the shadows, using their agility to outmaneuver the raiders. Their bioluminescent colors blended with the night, making them difficult to see. They struck quickly, their movements fluid and precise, surprising the raiders at every turn. "Watch your flank," shouted one of the Saurian warriors as he dodged a swing from a raider's club. Kira felt adrenaline surge through her veins as she fought alongside her friends. With each swing of her branch, she felt more empowered, more alive than ever. But the raiders were relentless. They regrouped and pushed forward, trying to break through the barriers the humans and Saurians had created. Kira spotted the leader of the raiders, a tall figure with a cruel grin. He shouted orders, and the raiders responded with a renewed ferocity. "We have to take out their leader," Kira shouted to Sarah. "If we can stop him, maybe the others will retreat." Sarah nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "Let's go." Together, they charged toward the leader, dodging incoming attacks and weaving through the chaos. The raider leader swung his weapon, but Kira ducked just in time, her heart pounding. She could feel Sarah's presence beside her, a steadying force as they pressed forward. The raider leader noticed them approaching, and his grin faded. "You think you can stop me?" he growled, raising his weapon threateningly. "You're nothing but insects." "Not today," Kira shouted, raising her branch high. With a surge of courage, she swung with all her might. The branch struck the leader's weapon, knocking it from his hands. He stumbled back, momentarily caught off guard. Sarah seized the opportunity, launching forward to tackle the raider leader. They fell to the ground, struggling for dominance. Kira rushed to help her friend, but before she could reach them, another raider came charging at her. She quickly turned, using her branch to fend him off, her heart racing with fear and adrenaline. Meanwhile, the battle raged on. The camp was alive with the sounds of conflict, the clash of weapons, the cries of the wounded, and the fierce determination of those fighting for their lives. Selrians and humans fought side by side, each protecting the other, their bond strengthening with every moment. Kira could see the tides of battle beginning to shift. The raiders were growing frustrated and confused, struggling against the unity and strength of the defenders. Just then, Kira heard a loud crash behind her. A section of the barrier had fallen, creating an opening for the raiders. "Protect the camp," she yelled. "We can't let them through." Kira and a few others rushed to reinforce the barrier, pushing back against the encroaching raiders. They fought with everything they had, their resolve unwavering. Just as Kira thought they might hold the line, she felt a heavy blow against her shoulder. She stumbled but quickly regained her balance, gritting her teeth against the pain. In that moment of vulnerability, the raider leader regained his footing. He kicked Sarah away, and Kira felt a rush of fear. "No," she cried, rushing toward her friend. But Sarah was quick. She rolled to the side and grabbed a fallen weapon, swinging it at the leader just as he lunged toward Kira. The leader staggered back, shocked by her bravery. "You'll pay for that," he growled, but Kira was already in motion, determined to protect her friend. With a fierce yell, Kira charged at the raider leader, her branch raised high. She struck again and again, her heart pounding with each blow. The leader faltered, and Kira could feel the tide turning in their favor. Finally, with one last swing, Kira knocked the raider leader to the ground. The camp erupted in cheers as the raiders hesitated, unsure of what to do next. Seeing their leader defeated, many of them turned to flee, running back into the shadows from which they came. Kira stood there, panting and covered in dirt and sweat, but she felt a rush of victory. "We did it," she shouted, and the camp erupted in celebration. They had fought back against the odds and protected their home. As Kira and Sarah embraced, they could feel the camaraderie of their people. They were no longer just allies. They were a family, bound together by their shared struggle. The night was far from over, but in that moment, they had triumphed. Yet deep down, Kira knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, and they would need to be ready for whatever came next. But tonight, they had stood strong, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The aftermath. As dawn broke over the battered camp, the first light of day revealed the scars of the night's battle. Kira stood outside her tent, staring at the remnants of the makeshift barriers that had once protected them. The ground was littered with debris, broken branches, discarded weapons, and remnants of the raiders' gear. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and sweat, a reminder of the chaos that had unfolded just hours before. The camp was quieter now, but a sense of urgency filled the air. Injured Selrians and humans were being tended to by makeshift medics, while others cleaned up the remnants of the fight. Kira felt a mix of relief and worry as she moved through the camp, checking on her friends and the Celerian families they had rescued. "Did you see the way you took down that raider leader?" Sarah approached, a bright smile on her face despite the exhaustion etched in her features. "That was amazing." Kira shrugged, trying to downplay her role. "I just did what needed to be done." "We all did." She scanned the area, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of battle. "But we need to prepare. They could come back." Sarah nodded, her expression turning serious. "You're right. We need to fortify the camp and make sure everyone knows how to defend themselves. We can't let our guard down." Together, they began organizing a plan. Kira and Sarah gathered the remaining Saurians and humans, rallying everyone together. "Listen up, everyone," Kira shouted, her voice steady and strong. "We fought hard last night, but this isn't over. We need to be ready for anything. Let's set up watch rotations and create better defenses." The group responded with nods and murmurs of agreement. The camaraderie that had formed during the battle was palpable, and Kira felt a surge of hope. They were no longer just individuals. They were a united front, determined to protect their home. As the day wore on, Kira and Sarah worked tirelessly. They repaired the barriers and gathered supplies, sharing stories of their experiences to lift spirits. The children of the Tsaurians played nearby, their laughter ringing out, a reminder of what they were fighting for. Later in the afternoon, a council meeting was called. Kira, Sarah, and several Xelrian leaders sat together in a circle, discussing the next steps. A wise Xelrian elder named Toran spoke, his voice calm yet commanding. "We must not only defend our home, but also seek to understand why the raiders attacked. Knowledge is our greatest weapon." Kira nodded in agreement. "If we know their motivations, we can prepare better. Perhaps there are others who can help us." The thought of forging alliances sparked something within her. "We should reach out to nearby communities. We're not the only ones at risk." The council members murmured in agreement, and plans began to form. Kira felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were more than just survivors. They were a community ready to fight for their future. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Kira took a moment to reflect. She stood at the edge of the camp, overlooking the land that stretched out before her. Despite the battle's aftermath, she felt a sense of hope. They had survived, and together they would find a way to thrive. Sarah joined her, placing a hand on Kira's shoulder. "It's hard to believe how much has changed in just a few days." Kira turned to her friend, a smile breaking across her face. "I know. But look at us. We've come together as a team. We're stronger now." As they stood together, Kira thought of the future. There would be challenges ahead, but they were ready to face them. They had proven their strength, and Kira knew that together they could accomplish anything. That night, they set up a watch system to ensure everyone's safety. Kira took the first watch shift, sitting near the fire, her heart filled with determination. She listened to the sounds of the night, the rustling of leaves, the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. The stars twinkled above, a reminder of the vast universe they lived in. Just then, she noticed a figure approaching in the darkness. It was Toran, the elder. He sat beside her, his presence calming. "You are a brave leader, Kira," he said softly. "You have inspired your people." Kira felt a warmth spread through her. "Thank you, Toran. But it's not just me. It's all of us working together." Toran nodded, his eyes reflecting the firelight. "Yes, unity is our greatest strength. Remember, though, that it's also important to understand the enemy. You have the heart of a warrior, but knowledge is key." Kira listened intently, absorbing his wisdom. "What should we do next?" she asked. "We must gather information," Toran replied. "And we should also prepare for the worst. Training our people to defend themselves is crucial. You have already proven your ability to lead. Trust in yourself, Kira." As the night wore on, Kira felt a growing sense of resolve. They had survived one battle, but the war for their survival had only just begun. With her friends and allies beside her, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would forge a new future, one built on strength, unity, and hope. Gathering allies. The days turned into a blur of activity as Kira and her community prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. Training sessions were held daily, teaching both Saurians and humans how to defend themselves and work together. Kira noticed a bond forming among the community, a connection that strengthened their resolve. One sunny afternoon, Kira gathered everyone around a large flat rock in the center of the camp. "We need to discuss our next steps," she announced, her voice ringing with authority. "The raiders could come back at any moment. But we can't just sit here and wait. We need to find allies." Sarah stepped forward, her eyes sparkling with determination. "I've heard stories of other communities nearby. Some are small, but they have strong fighters. We should send scouts to make contact." The crowd buzzed with excitement and murmurs of agreement. Kira felt a rush of energy. They were ready to take action. "Who wants to volunteer?" she asked, her heart racing with hope. Several hands shot up, including Kira's friend Ellen, a skilled tracker among the Saurians. "I'll go. I know the land well, and I can find the way to the nearest communities," he declared confidently. Kira smiled, encouraged by Ellen's enthusiasm. "Great. We'll need at least 2 others to go with you for safety. Anyone else?" The alliance forms. The sun rose over the horizon, casting a golden light across the newly united community. Kira awoke with a sense of purpose. After their successful meeting, she felt a renewed strength within herself and her friends. They had forged an alliance, but now they needed to solidify it with a plan. Gathering everyone around a large fire, Kira took a deep breath. "Today, we need to discuss how we can prepare ourselves for the raiders. With both our communities combined, we can develop a strategy to defend ourselves." Theris, the leader of the Saurian settlement, stepped forward. "We have some warriors who are skilled in combat. They can train your people in our ways. But we will also need to understand your methods and tactics." Kira nodded, grateful for the willingness to collaborate. "That's a great idea. Let's set up training sessions where we can learn from each other. We need to build trust and ensure everyone knows their roles." As the fire crackled, they began to lay out plans for the upcoming days. Teams would be formed to train in different skills: combat, strategy, and even first aid. Kira felt a surge of excitement. Together, they would grow stronger. Later that day, Kira and her friends met with the Saurian warriors. They gathered in a clearing, where the sunlight filtered through the trees, creating a perfect training ground. Kira felt a flutter of nervousness as she faced the group. These warriors were strong and intimidating, their eyes filled with intensity. "Welcome, everyone," she started, her voice steady. "We are here to learn from each other and prepare for the challenges ahead. Let's work together to ensure our communities are safe." A tall warrior named Jarek stepped forward. "We will show you our combat techniques. In return, we would like to learn about your tactics and strategies. Together, we will be unstoppable." The training began with basic drills. The Saurians demonstrated their combat skills, fluid movements, swift strikes, and teamwork. Kira watched in awe as they moved with precision. She felt a desire to improve, to protect her people and her new allies. As the days passed, Kira and her friends practiced diligently. They learned to wield weapons, to fight as a unit, and to adapt to different combat styles. Ellen's natural agility impressed the Saurians, and Mark quickly learned to think strategically, often surprising everyone with his ideas. One afternoon, after an intense training session, Kira approached Jarek. "Thank you for your guidance. I feel like we are really starting to connect." Jarek smiled, his demeanor warm. "Your people have shown great resilience. It's inspiring to see how determined you all are." Kira felt a warmth in her chest. They were not just forming an alliance, they were building friendships. The lines between their communities were beginning to blur. However, the threat of the raiders still loomed over them. Kira knew that time was running out. They needed to gather intelligence on the raiders' movements and intentions. "We should send scouts to watch the raiders," she suggested one evening at their gathering. "If we can learn their patterns, we can prepare ourselves better." The Tselrians nodded in agreement, their faces serious. "That is wise. We will send our best scouts," Theris confirmed. As the sun began to set, a small group of warriors prepared to leave. Kira felt a mix of anxiety and hope as they departed. She knew how dangerous it was to approach the raiders, but gathering intelligence was crucial. The following days passed in a whirlwind of training and planning. Kira felt stronger than ever, surrounded by allies who were just as determined to fight for their lives. The bond between the two communities deepened, and Kira began to see their shared goals clearly. One evening, while resting by the fire after training, Kira shared stories with her friends and new allies. They laughed, reminiscing about their past, while also planning for their future. Kira felt a deep sense of gratitude for everyone gathered around her. Suddenly, a scout burst into the clearing, breathless and wide-eyed. "The raiders are on the move. They're headed this way." Kira's heart raced. "How far away are they?" "Just a few miles. They seem to be moving quickly, possibly planning to attack," the scout replied, panic evident in his voice. Theris stood tall, rallying everyone's attention. "We need to prepare. We must gather our defenses and alert the others. Now is the time to show them the strength of our alliance." Kira felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it, the moment they had trained for. "Everyone, listen up," she shouted. "This is our chance to show the raiders that we won't back down. Let's come together and fight for our homes." The group rallied together, quickly organizing into defensive positions. Kira felt a sense of purpose. She had come a long way from feeling helpless. Now she was leading her community into battle. As the sun set, casting a fiery glow across the horizon, Kira looked at the gathered warriors, Tselrians and humans alike. They were ready to face the raiders as one. The battle would be fierce, but together, they would stand strong. With hearts full of courage and hope, they prepared to defend their newfound home, ready to show the raiders what true strength looked like.